What is good? We're back and we're ready to roll. We got the heat of training camp kicking off. We got it's full throttle at this point, which is always a lot of fun. Overreactions, underreactions, a lot of confirmation bias. You know, just the most fun you could possibly have. Sometimes it'll be really apparent and we'll be mad that we missed it in this kind of situation. And then other times we'll think we're right on top of it and couldn't be further from the truth by like week 3.
True.
Right. And that's just how this goes. You're feeling so good about everything that's been going on because it confirmed all your biases. And then week 3, you're like, fuck, that didn't work out.
Yeah.
That did not work out.
This is very accurate.
But football's back. We saw some live the other day. We got first action of the kickoff. The new kickoff seems interesting. But today we're going to hit some training camp news, hype. Got a couple clips for you, some multimedia stuff. But first, I mean, football's back. Maximum effort from the big fella here. Just a little, you know, maximum effort getting the tee after the kick from the big guy. Diving in, diving off. That's what you got to respect. Football season's back, baby. All right. So right off the top, we'll start with a little bit of news. We'll roll through it quick, and then we're gonna get some rookies in there, and then we'll talk about some teams on the back half of this thing. So, biggest news coming in is Justin Herbert, a favorite of ours all off season of buying the dip, plantar fascia injury there, and the bummer there is that this is just a really long-term injury that it's really hard to know when you're right because you got to ramp back up, you got to stay off of it, and then if you re-aggravate it, you're right back to square one. So this really is a bummer for the Chargers year one under Harbs and Justin Herbert because if you don't take care of it, it's going to linger, right? This kind of reminds me a little bit, and it's different injuries, obviously, but Joe Burrow last year with the calf, right? He clearly wasn't right for the first little while of the season.
Right, 4 or 5 weeks.
And then, unfortunately, has another injury that has absolutely nothing to do with what went on. But I do think this is a little bit of an issue. There is some concern here with Herbert and really everybody who he's supplying the ball to, right?
Right. Well, thankfully, we're not really counting on too many of his receivers as far as like, you know, price paid. But the Lad McConkey people out there are like,
Yeah.
Come on, Justin Herbert, we need you, buddy.
Right. And then, you know, and obviously I like Josh Palmer later in
Sure.
some rounds and Will Dissly at the tight end, super cheap and late. And we'll see what happens with the running back position there. But then you also had Lad McConkey limping off. No real update there, but he's been excellent all camp. Harb says he's working through something.
That's a football coach.
That's the update.
Working through something.
But from all reports, Lad was going to go out there and probably lead this damn team in receptions and yards, maybe even touchdowns.
Still could.
And still really could.
Yeah.
Without Herbert, it's going to be a slugfest out there with what the hell the Chargers are going to try to put together. So that's definitely a real big bummer there with the Lad. Of course, you know, one of my favorite guys coming into this season was locked into outside those top 3 receivers. He was locked into the next 3 receivers because I just think he can do so much for your team and so much for this team in particular. And to be hooked up with Herbert, he's got good hands. The route running prowess is on point. The speed's good. He can take the top off. He could play the slot. He could play outside. So a lot of different things you could do with Lad. It's a touch and go situation right now for the Chargers, which, you know,
Sure. Well,
we
like,
finally thought we were getting something new with the Chargers, and here we are.
Same old Chargers are getting hurt before they get started. It's sad to bring the ceiling down a little bit for Herbert before we even get started.
Right, but maybe another buy window because we are typically talking Dynasty. Next one on the list, Mixon quad soft tissue injury. Hasn't practiced yet since things have opened up here, which is, you know, a little bit of a bummer. Mixon's a vet, will be back. I think he has, you know, the style of this offense is going to fit what Mixon kind of does, coming from kind of where he was. They were really excited about him in OTAs. Mm-hmm. So he's been around the guys. He's been in the meetings. He's been there. I don't think this is a huge deal, but, you know, Pierce getting some love, getting some run with the first team. Head coach and OC both giving Pierce some love, saying he's been putting in the work. Looks good. Looks a little different. Geno, knee, hip injury. Seemed to avoid of any real injury. Shouldn't miss any time. But just something to monitor. Roman Wilson carded off with an ankle injury, possibly ready for week 1. This opens a little bit of more time for Van and Calvin Austin and whoever else, the ragtag bunch they have over there in Pittsburgh. But Roman Wilson was seemingly going to walk right into a big role. And we know, as being a rookie and missing this chunk of time right here, especially with the quarterback position really being up in the air, to be able to build a chemistry with somebody is kind of big. So we look for Roman to maybe even start a little slower when we kind of envisioned him maybe starting slow, but I think this even hampers that even a little more.
Well, for sure. But, I mean, thankfully, when you see him going off on the cart and then they say possibly ready for week 1, that's a win. That's a huge win. It's not like, hey, out for the year, tore an ACL or something. So that's huge.
And then we had Donta Foreman neck taken to the hospital, which is never good. But got a Q next to his name, not an O. So we'll see kind of how things progress with him. But Jerome Ford stock just keeps going up. Nick Chubb's not saying they're not even expecting him back for maybe 3 to 4 weeks into the season.
Yeah, probably more than that.
Maybe more than that. And now Pierre Strong's probably the next man up. They brought Foreman in. He was interesting. I believe they have Naheem Hines as well on that depth chart. So stock up a little bit, even stronger, I would say, for Jerome Ford through the first 6-8 weeks of the season. And then I would imagine he's going to hold on to a role.
Stock up pass attempts for Deshaun Watson.
Good call. All right, let's move on. Let's get to the rookies in camp, the main attraction here, what everybody's hyped up about. And, of course, all the high-end teams got the hope. The hopium is super high with the high-end draft picks. And let's start with Jayden Daniels, because on this program, I feel like maybe I have not shown that I do like Jayden Daniels enough, where I'm always, usually when we talk about him, I usually go on the defensive or offensive side of negativity a little bit. But I do really like Jayden Daniels. We're seeing a chemistry here with Terry McLaurin, and we know that deep ball was lights out at LSU. And the things they did with Brian Thomas and Malik Nabers there were excellent. I do think that's one thing that can translate, and I think the floor for Jayden Daniels is rock solid. I think, right?
Yeah.
Coach is coming out saying he's playing really well. I saw Ryan Clark giving him a whole lot of love, saying that this could be like a CJ Stroud-esque situation. I'm not going to go that far, man.
No.
That's really high praise. That doesn't happen very often, and that's my point with Jayden Daniels. The rushing upside's there, the floor's there, but we got a 50-50 proposition here, and I feel like Caleb's going to hit, so I feel like it's almost it's more detrimental to Jayden Daniels' percentage of hitting, because there's
you already
50,
have one.
There's your 50%.
Yeah. There's the other coin flip, right? Well, the next coin flip it doesn't tie into the first coin flip. I'm not saying that the Daniels hype couldn't get to a CJ Stroud level. It would just obviously look very different. He's not sitting in the pocket carving up defenses like that. Like you said, the floor is very safe with the rushing. I think the one thing that you did this offseason, and and I've done it myself, and I've been talking about it with rookie quarterbacks for the last few years, it's when you're talking about startup value, when you select a player, if you take Jayden Daniels in the early third or late second of a startup rookie right now, you did not select somebody else.
Right.
You did not make a trade with that pick. You did not. You put your eggs in that basket, and it's just is it C.J. Stroud or is it Bryce Young? Right. But obviously, even if it's as bad as Bryce Young,
Daniels is what you mean.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
For what you did with that equity, you place that equity on Jayden Daniels. So I think when you say that all this offseason you have been negative towards Daniels, it's towards his dynasty price and what you're putting in a rookie quarterback and where he might end up in a year or 3 as a quarterback in the NFL. I think for fantasy, especially with his coach, their pace of play is going to be up there. The attempts is going to be up there. They're going to snap the ball a lot on offense, and that's really what you want. If the volume is going to make his fantasy points go up.
And I was on Theo Greminger's podcast, The Dynasty Life, and we talked a little bit about Jayden Daniels, and he brought up a good point that Cliff, just like you did, Kingsbury's going to And Kyler was good with Cliff there for a minute, but it got kind of stale, and that it kind of ran its course. And I don't know if maybe we're already on it, and it's not going to come out and have a chance to even get stale, because it's going to come out stale because the NFL is already kind of like, hey, we got a book on this guy a little bit, or maybe he's learned. People can learn. The book's not always closed on one guy. If you need to be evolving. We see this with Greg Roman. He comes in, it's great. You can bring a quarterback along, but then it seems like it plateaus at some point, right?
Yeah.
And I made the point of I could see Jayden Daniels potentially coming in because the rushing upside's so good, and I think he's already a better passer than Justin Fields is. as far as the play of the actual quarterback position outside of what his athleticism is. I could see the value going up, and that was Theo's point, is that, hey, I'm taking him in the early third, and there's room for the value to go up. But I feel like that value may go up year one, but maybe year 2 or 3, you start, maybe it comes apart at the seams. But this is a new Commanders regime, which, is always a positive that it's not the same old Commanders, at least. I think that's a really big positive there, that the owner has been removed from that situation. True. And they got good, much better upper management there to kind of guide this thing in a better direction, to coddle and nurture this situation rather than just fuck it up, because that's just what they did. Yeah. Right.
Hey guys, a quick reminder to head over to patreon.com/the FF Dynasty to sign up for a free membership to get access to the free Discord channel. Or hit your boys with the $5 holler and get access to extra shows, mock drafts, roster reviews, and also our 2024 rookie draft kit, complete with rookie rankings, ADP, and player pages, all for your pleasure.
Brock Purdy or Jayden Daniels, and that's really what it comes down to, like in a startup. And if you were like, so when I've been on the clock in startups, and I've had the rookie drafts, and I've had 1-4 or whatever, and Jayden Daniels is available, if I could trade that pick for Kyler Murray, I'm doing it, because I know that I'm getting a player that I'm getting very startable for as long as he's healthy. Yeah, I'm getting there's top 5, top 8 upside there with Kyler, and we've seen it. And that's all I'm trying to say, is I want to try to eliminate some of that. And hey, you're never going to capitalize on that huge value swing. And I'm not saying that I wouldn't. Like, I would take Caleb. I'm not going to. It's going to take a lot for me to trade away Caleb. I just feel really strongly that Caleb's going to work out. And some people feel the same way about Jayden Daniels. So, I'm not far from me from crushing those people.
Well, you really capitalized, or that was some really early rookie drafts early in the offseason, and you really capitalized on that rookie hype and got Kyler Murray in those situations. I saw you do it 2 times. I don't think you can do that now. Like, Kyler Murray's already in the early second round again, versus in March and April this year, he was, into the second round in Jayden Daniels' area. Yeah. He's already moved up a full round. Just people are figuring it out.
So Brock or Jayden?
I mean, obviously, if you're trying to not
Brock.
If you're trying to not mess it up, and you're not trying to, it's Brock for me, because I know that he was QB6 last year. He didn't have an off season. We didn't even know if he's going to be able to throw the ball. This time last year, you're doing startups. You're literally still taking Trey Lance in the startup before Purdy, and then you're backing up Trey Lance with Purdy. And then Trey Lance goes away, and Purdy is your every week starter. I mean, that's how I drafted one of my teams last year. Thank God I got Purdy. Yeah. I took Trey Lance in the 8th and Purdy in the 9th, and Purdy was good enough to throw away that 8th round pick. Yeah. Jayden Daniels, he could be amazing, but he's also a rookie quarterback, and we don't know. I think the week-to-week volatility is going to be interesting, because one week he could look amazing, and there's no chance you can trade for him. And then maybe for 2 weeks in a row, if he runs into the right defenses, he could be horrible. Right. And then it could.
He's confused. He got rocked a couple times. He's like,
right. And like you said, I think he's a much better passer than Justin Fields as well. But he definitely doesn't have take a hit ability like Justin Fields. He's not as big and strong. Right. If he gets rocked, like you said, it could be a week or two. If he gets a bad defense or two to start the season, there could be a nice buy window, because no matter how bad it looks, if it looks bad early, it's not going to be that bad. Yeah. And no matter how great it looks, if it looks awesome early, maybe 2 or 3 weeks later, then when the defenses adjust to him, how does he readjust? Right. Which is the Cliff Kingsbury part of it. Right. Because every year, it's for those couple years in Arizona, the next year Kingsbury would come back with something a little fresher. But then by week 6, he couldn't adjust to the adjustments.
Mm-hmm. And Kyler really hated it.
Oh, he hated it.
So, all right, let's keep it moving here. Let's go on to the next guy. Let's go Malik Nabers.
Sure.
Probably the hottest name going right now.
Oh, the best clips coming out, the most fun rookie clips, and everybody's on it.
Certainly helps that the Giants Hard Knocks is going on as well.
Obviously, yeah.
So that's a kind of a perfect storm for Malik Nabers. We all like Malik Nabers here. I don't know anybody who's hating on Malik Nabers. I wasn't willing to put him up there with Marvin Harrison, and that's just because the value for Marvin Harrison already is just insane. It almost doesn't matter what happens with Marvin this year. And then Marvin lands with somebody like Kyler and an organization that I see is kind of saw in year one of that organization fight like hell in every game, just not have the personnel good enough to finish in the fourth. Yeah. And so I feel like we're on a good trajectory with the Cardinals right now. Agreed. And Marvin Harrison is in a good position. He's got Trey McBride. I think Michael Wilson could be a good 2 wide receiver. And then they've cobbled together some fun 3s in Dortch, who was there last year, who played well, and Zay Jones over there. So that, all
Took
of a
less
sudden,
money to go to the Cardinals.
right. All of a sudden you got an interesting little core there. You got Connor and Benson, and they've got some offensive line help, and the OC's kind of fun. But Nabers goes into a situation to where Daniels hadn't had this, right? We haven't had
A wide receiver
Daniel
anywhere near
Jones
that.
to be able to
Jones.
be your
Daniels,
featured,
you meant Daniel
right?
Jones,
Yeah.
right?
To be able to feature him and to be a go-to guy, right? And so minimum targets over here are 100 plus, right?
For sure.
For a rookie season,
For sure.
Easily.
$150.
I don't know if he gets 150. I'm not saying he shouldn't. I don't know if he does.
I would say I'm a little bit on the same way that I talked about Jayden Daniels. I feel like some people probably think I don't love Nabers, and I do love Nabers. I just, I also love. I put Rome up there, so I think some people think I'm bringing Nabers down because I'm putting Rome up there. No. I just think Rome is that good, right?
Yeah.
And I just don't quite have those guys over to the Marvin Harrison. And maybe some of that's just confirmation bias. Maybe some of it's just last name. Maybe some of it's jeans, Levi's.
Jinkos.
But it's also just the value is so strong on Marvin Harrison Jr. right now that, he's just clear. Him and Caleb are clear cut in the top tier, and then Marv and Rome and Nabers are in the next tier. And we're watching these clips right now. He's cooking people.
He's tearing it up. But, I mean, right now in best ball, Marvin Harrison is getting drafted as wide receiver 9,
Yeah.
which is the highest of rookie wide receivers ever been drafted.
Might be a stretch there.
And at that ADP, at that pick cost, it needs to be able to put up Puka's season last year to pay off and a profit for that draft pick slot.
Right.
So I'm told by the best ball bros. And basically, you'd have for Marvin Harrison to have to pay off in that redraft scenario, best ball this year. He would have to basically do exactly what Puka did last year, which is the best wide receiver season ever.
Right.
So, like you said, the value on
It's
Marvin Harrison
not out of the realm of possibilities.
No, it's not. But just to hammer home what you're saying, the Marvin Harrison Jr. value right now is ridiculous. And if there's anything, if you can say it, a second place value, the hype train on Nabers right now is out of control, and he's coming. He's coming hard.
Right.
And it's fun to watch.
It seems like I don't.
About to spit up my beer. It's coming hard. It's fun to watch. Sorry. It is. Sorry, Case. Go ahead.
I don't. It feels like we're the top 3 guys of the wide receiver run out of this, and we really haven't been seeing the top end wide receivers at a high bust rate at this point. They've all come in and been pretty good over the last few draft classes. Yeah, you could pick 1 or 2 out.
Yeah.
But it seems like we're about to get 3 really, really good ones here.
Yeah.
I don't see how Rome can fail. I don't see how Nabers can fail, and I can't see how Marv fails. Now, maybe
agreed.
all of them aren't Hall of Famers, but
Yeah.
I think they're all going to be good players,
Yeah.
right? And it's just going to be whether or not the Giants are a decent team. And even on a shitty team, Nabers can still get fed.
Mm-hmm.
The thing with Nabers being on a shitty team is there is a little bit of a character attitude concern when things are going to be going really poorly for the Giants that this could come untethered here at some point and be a little bit uncomfortable for this first season of Malik Nabers. And, just that quickly, Dak Prescott could be throwing him the ball next year,
Yeah.
right? So things can change, at a rapid pace. Is Daniel Jones their guy? No, but they went out and invested in the offensive line, which is what they should have done. They invested in the defensive line. They went to some core groups. Let's get Daniel some protection. And then if you throw Wandell out there, you throw Hyatt out there who can stretch the field. If Slayton is actually your 3rd or 4th receiver, that's a great 3rd or 4th, man. He's a good player. They've just been terrible. And now they have a go-to. We'll see what happens at the wide receiver position. And then we have, Singletary, who is a great pros pro, good professional. And then, of course, you have Tyrone Tracy out there, coming out and making some plays, looking like a big fella out there. But so little Tyrone Tracy for your pleasure here to cap off the Malik Nabers fest. But probably was being overdrafted a little bit, Tyrone Tracy. I think it's settled down just a hair at this point. Singletary is going to be your guy, and for everybody you're just hating because Singletary was outstanding with the Texans once he took over last year. Obviously, this is a bit of a different situation, but Tyrone Tracy is a really fun player. Look at how big he is. Look at how big that. It's a big fella back there. But great receiving chops, should get some 3rd down work. and we'll kind of see how that plays out. But a little Tyrone Tracy fodder for your pleasure. And then we can't, of course, talk about Rome or Nabers without throwing a little Rome in your face. Just want to, Rome and Caleb seem to have something cooking. There's a million clips out there that you can see them boys scoring touchdowns on multiple occasions. But as the counterpoint to where Nabers is and to where Rome is Nabers is going to be the guy who leads that team in every category, most likely.
Nabers,
right?
Yeah.
And Rome has got two pros around him,
and DJ Moore just got paid.
But he can now have a quarterback that he grows with, which is huge.
Oh, they flew to the draft together. They weren't even on the same team yet.
Right.
Like that friendship is like priceless. It's like dynasty value. DJ Moore, a really, really, really good receiver, just got paid. Keenan Allen didn't get any younger, but like that's like the best thing that could happen for the team.
Right.
Like and now you're looking at it now that it's kind of happening.
Two clips, 2 touchdowns.
Right. Like Keenan Allen went to Caleb Williams' pro day.
It's down to
Keenan
regress,
Allen,
though.
all about the team and all in. And yeah, that definitely caps Rome's ceiling as a rookie and to see, and targets. But like from a team standpoint and a foundational standpoint and a let's build together and for the future, like why wouldn't you want, it's kind of like Trey McBride and Zach Ertz getting together. It's like, why would Keenan Allen's going to do so much for this team, not including catching the football.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And so for Rome,
so much for Rome.
That's what I mean. So for Rome to be able to have Caleb Williams,
who's already a standout stud worker, role
to
model kind of leader.
So Rome gets to learn from Keenan Allen. DJ Moore gets to learn from Keenan Allen. Caleb Williams gets to learn from Keenan Allen. They all get to learn from Keenan. One of the best to ever do it.
He's injury prone.
Yeah.
Remember that? Remember when he was injury prone, kids?
Right.
I don't know if you do or not, but he used to be the most injury prone person ever. And now he had like 5 straight wide receiver ones.
Now he's like 40. He hasn't been hurt since he's 28.
Right. So stop labeling every player that gets hurt for 1 or 2 seasons in a row injury prone. Just settle down. Just relax.
Yeah. So I wanted to hype up Rome and Caleb a little bit. I feel like most of the hype on Caleb's very positive. I saw Amani Toomer talking some shit, but fuck that guy. Everybody else is saying how great of a leader Caleb is and how humble he is, how smart he is, how hard of a worker he is, how he's in there all the time learning and crushing some shit. And I think people are just looking for reasons to kill that guy.
Sure.
And which is actually kind of a good. I feel like Jayden Daniels is under the radar a little bit, right? Because Caleb's taking all this shine, and Jayden's just kind of chilling under the radar there. So want to get a little Rome propaganda in there, and I like I said, Rome Nabers same tier for me. Love them. Then that's no shot on Nabers, and also I got Drake Maye and Daniels in the same tier. That's no shot on Daniels. I think Drake Maye is just better than everybody else thinks he is.
There you go.
So. Anyway, all right, let's keep it moving. Let's talk a little JJ McCarthy because this is interesting. This is kind of where I want to talk confirmation bias because, all day long I could see clips of how terrible JJ McCarthy is and how Sam Darnold should start every single week. And then you can see clips from other guys out there who were caping hard for JJ and he's the best quarterback ever and can't believe everybody passed on him and look at all these accurate passes. And
I'm looking to see if I took a picture of that. That is so cool that you mentioned. I didn't know you were going to say that, but I saw a tweet the other day and it said the same thing. It was like, I don't know how they can keep JJ McCarthy from being the week 1 starter. He's been the most ridiculous thing ever. And in the same screen, the next tweet was a guy saying, "Look at these throws from Darnold." He was like, "We may not see JJ McCarthy all year."
JJ's thrown 20 picks already,
and it was it was like up and they were top and bottom on the tweet right there, back to back. And I was able to, and I could see him on one screen. And I don't know if I didn't screenshot, I can't find it right in a second. But I was going to send it to you for exactly that reason. If you see one tweet, you get your confirmation bias. But you see the other tweet, it's man, I bought JJ at 1.6 or 1.7 in my rookie draft, and now this guy's telling me that Darnold looks so good I might not see him.
Yeah.
The other guy's saying I don't know why Darnold would make a start because JJ's so good.
So this is kind of the part of this offseason that you have to navigate and weed through. You might have to do some investigation. You got to read some stuff. You got to actually type in and search out some things and find credible people who are talking about this and read about the story of the day. And I'm semi-neutral on McCarthy. I don't think that he's going to light the world on fire, but I don't think he's a terrible player. I think he should sit for a year. I think Drake Maye should sit for a year. Those guys are in completely different situations than Caleb Williams just walked into,
And
right?
Jayden Daniels.
And Jayden Daniels, really. You know, it's okay if Sam Darnold plays for a year.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, don't get me wrong. Some of these throws from JJ have been ridiculously good looking. But
Yeah,
some of
and
the
you can
throws,
find
and
some
of the-
terrible ones.
Some of the throws from Darnold have been good looking. You know, so I think JJ falls into that category from Jayden Daniels, like you said. This offseason and this rookie cycle, you were. There's your pick 6 right there from JJ. So you were definitely putting some water on JJ McCarthy earlier in the offseason. And I mean, to be determined how it plays out, I think he's going to be fine, and I think could have his. I think he's in a great situation. And this was way before the draft. When he was getting hyped up and stuff. This was before he actually goes to a great situation and a potentially team that was trying to trade up for Drake Maye and maybe even wanted Penix, and then they ended up with JJ McCarthy. He might be their guy now. Might not have been their first or second or even third choice, but. You got a great quarterback as a coach, former quarterback as a coach. He wasn't a great quarterback, but sometimes they make the best coaches. They got the mind for it,
Right.
Kyle Shanahan wasn't the best either, but he wasn't the best wide receiver. But look at his coaching ability now. I think that just in the same vein of the Jayden Daniels part, you definitely put some water on JJ McCarthy as he was steaming up the charts.
Well, there was just no reason for you to be talking all crazy like he should be number 2 in the draft,
right?
Because that was a bit much.
And I think you were proven correct, and I think the same thing we saw that when the Vikings and other teams were trying to trade up in a spot that wasn't necessary to be able to land McCarthy.
And I think he landed in a good spot. I think I landed with a guy that I trust to develop him and go through things. But sit behind Sam for a year.
Huge for him.
Let Sam take some L's here for a second and let the Vikings get right. All right, let's keep it moving here. And the next one, this is the last one we'll do on the rookies. We'll go to the Patriots here, and I think it's the same kind of conversation that you have to have where we were just talking about with JJ, where you have to sort through some stuff. This one even made it to sleeper on the notifications of which y'all need to do a better job with that shit. But some of those sleeper notifications are like, well, who are you quoting right now? Like, stop it. But the Maye versus Milton thing, and obviously, I like Maye, but if May's been terrible, then May's been terrible. But like, right now it's the sleeper thing was Milton was playing better than Maye. Mm-hmm. Well, first things first is Milton's running the third team, May's running the second team, getting some first team reps here and there.
Yeah.
So right away, those are two apples and oranges.
Yep.
Number 2, like Milton is practice squad hero numero uno. Like if you know anything about Joe Milton and what he does, but the problem with Joe Milton, the reason that he went in the 6th round is he can't fucking play. Like he's got all the tools. Like look at this. Wow. Like that doesn't even look real.
Yeah.
But he'll dirt the ball with a dude 2 feet in front of him. Mm-hmm. Like, so it's awesome that you remember Jamarcus Russell, and he probably has a much better work ethic than Jamarcus Russell.
A lot of people did.
A
lot of people did.
But basically what I'm saying is the guy who put that tweet out, Ben Viola or something along those lines, you can correct me on his name. He's a troll.
Mm-hmm. Bad person, bad tweet.
And he's a Patriots guy, and this is what he does, and this is how the media is. He does shit and reactionary to get it. It took me about 30 seconds to Google some shit and read some stories, and then literally everybody going, oh, nobody listens to that guy. Every other beat reporter out there saying May's playing really well for what it is. Everybody has bad days, Bo. Brock Purdy threw fucking 5 interceptions the other day. It happens. It's training camp.
Yeah.
I ain't worried about it. Like, this is, you want to make mistakes right now. Like, is he understanding what's happening out there? That's what I need to know. Is it just like, hey, he just keeps throwing it to the wrong team because he's an idiot. Yeah. And I don't think that's what's happening.
Yeah.
And that's not what the reports are. But like, I'm a Niners guy, so I know Grant Cohen does this constantly. That guy is a piece of trash. Like
the worst.
The fact that he has any clout, part of it because of who his daddy is, but like it's ridiculous. Like all he does is troll the team, but it works because that's the climate and the situation that we're in. Mm-hmm. So just you got to be careful of that. All he does is bait people to say shit because he still hates Brock Purdy.
Yeah,
like it's like Bo, give it up, man. Like somebody should take the fucking phone from him. Like you shouldn't be allowed to have any more access to this team. I can't believe a player hasn't punched you in the face. Like,
So that's the comparison on the Joe
comparison
Milton tweeter.
to the tweeter. Like, everybody up there apparently thinks this guy is basically a troll of all trolls. So I say that the same JJ stuff to say the same Milton Maye stuff of just be careful what you're taking in, and it took me 30 seconds to figure. I had no idea who this guy was.
Right. Well, the value in that for me was, you told me that on the phone, yesterday and 2 days ago, and it's like, for me, this was a busy week. My wife was out of town. I had 2 kids by myself. I'm seeing all this stuff about how Joe Milton's the best quarterback on the Patriots. All of a sudden, the value in hearing you say this is not overvaluing Joe Milton in a dynasty trade right now. Not giving away a guy who was probably maybe not drafted in your 4-round rookie draft in a super flex, and not giving away a second for him next year, or
right.
Something like that. That's the value in knowing this right now. And somebody who took the 30 seconds to do the research, because I didn't have time to do it.
I saw a clip. It might have been a Barstool clip, and they were talking about the same thing. And there was a guy in a Tennessee hat who's a Tennessee guy. I don't watch a lot of Barstool stuff, so I don't know who it is or what is. And apologies. I just saw the clip real quick, but he was basically saying, he's like, "Oh, this is prime Joe Milton time right now." He's like, but when the season starts, it just fall every season. It's like, oh my God, Joe Milton's so good, and then the season starts, and you're like, what's happening? What's he doing out here?
When the defenses are ramped up,
right? When it's
when somebody's blitzing and a safety's moving,
right?
Yeah.
When you actually have to play the position. So.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we could go on about Polk and Mayo and Baker, but we'll table that for now. Let's get out of the rookies. Let's regroup. Let's get on to the vets.